Alright, picture this. You're staring at the screen of your computer, mindlessly browsing through websites, when suddenly you see some movie news. A studio is gonna adapt an IP into a live-action feature. What IP do you ask? Well, what do you want? Anime? Video game? Toys? Emojis? I'm throwing these random examples because most likely, when you read this kind of stuff, your reaction is one, and one only. You roll your fucking eyes. Because deep down, you know how this is gonna turn out. You know this is either a cash grab or just a plain bad idea. I mean, you've seen enough examples of how these adaptations turn out. But sometimes, very rarely, something comes along. Something that challenges your preconceptions, that end up so far away from what you initially expected that you have no other option but to eat shit and admit that you were wrong. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it seems we're falling into a pattern where every 5 to 10 years we collectively groan when the industry announces a new adaptation, yet collectively end up eating shit when said adaptation comes out and proves us all wrong in a big way. It happened in 2014 with the Lego Movie, and now in 2021 it has happened again with Arcane. An adaptation of the MOBA game League of Legends, the animated project created and produced completely within Riot Games, with animation provided by Fortiche Studios, has been a smash hit with both critics and audience, bringing some of the highest praise I've ever seen to a Western animation since probably Avatar. And my god, is it all true. Now before I continue, let me make something perfectly clear. I don't play League of Legends, I don't think I'll ever will, and I know nothing about the lore. So, why is it so brilliant? What does it do different from other adaptations out there? Well, put simply, Arcane is just an incredibly well executed show. From the extensive lore that never feels overwhelming, to the airtight plot and amazing characters, you can truly see the passion of the creative team in every frame. But by now, there might be this nagging question in the back of your head. Franco, one of the best shows of the year, Succession, Ted Lasso, The Crown, Mare of Easttown, Maid, you're telling me this animation is close to these guys? Yeah, I do. Let me tell you why. When I first saw the trailers, I was thinking the show kinda looked like one big video game cutscene. There was something off about the character's movement. But there's this big difference between seeing a bunch of stuff thrown in a fast-paced trailer and seeing scenes play out as they're intended. And holy moly did I eat a plate of crow as I continued to watch and marvel. They've achieved this unique blend of 2D and 3D animation that allows for realistic movement while also being able to execute that fast-paced action. During interviews, the production team mentioned that it took 6 freaking years to create this show, and you can see their hard work from the first few scenes. From the bright vistas of the upper city to the grittiness of down below, the magic runes or Jinx's colorful explosions, every frame here is just meticulously crafted. There's a sequence in this show that even switches art style to better tell a story inside this fight. It's fucking amazing. And honestly, I really want to avoid talking too much about it because it forces me to show examples that I do not want to spoil for you. Just trust me on this one, when it comes to animation, Arcane fucking slaps. To talk about the plot, I'm also forced to talk about the world building, because both are so interconnected. It's been some time since I've seen such a well-realized fantasy world, where there's a simple premise that serves as the foundation of the story. You have Piltover, the rich city, and below them you have Zon, the poor city. Piltover explores Zon and its citizens, and a lot of shit happens from here on out. But it's made so much more richer by the layers it's given. From the council at the top of the city closing their giant skylight when a trial begins, to the different races and the tidbits the show offers on their backstory without ever feeling too overwhelming, there's a real sense of scale and attention given to the world building in the show. And the story is equally as strong. In the beginning there's a fragile peace between Piltover and Zaun, and I really appreciated that they both have good and bad people within their ranks. As an example, Zaun is oppressed and lives on the fringe of society, but the main villain of the show, Silco, a mastermind criminal with radical inclinations, comes from there. On the other side, you'd think Piltover would be just a bunch of snobs and douchebag cops, but then there's Caitlyn, a peacekeeper who's a goody two-shoes and has a rude awakening as she's forced to venture down below to investigate a series of attacks. I'm a sucker for stories that truly embrace the motto of no black and white morals, and I love that they really went for it. Another thing that is really cool is how layered the plot is. There's the street side of things, the cold war between the peacekeepers from Piltover and the crime bosses from Zaun. But there's also the political side of things, the council that runs Piltover and their machinations. And these two plot lines not only converge more than you expect, but they also fracture as well. Rifts start to form, leaders from both sides diverging on the best course of action. And it's frankly a joy to watch it all unfold. Some plot twists and left turns had me truly shocked, which is hard nowadays, and the show isn't above killing characters to develop others or advance the plot, and I honestly cannot complain. Alongside Game of Thrones, before it went off the rails at least, and The Expanse, it's been a while since I've seen a show with such an expansive world and lore, and a great story to go along with it. But none of that matters if your cast can carry the plot forward. Fortunately, they did really damn good on this department. Vi is one of our protagonists, a spunky girl from Zaun with a ferocious attitude and a good heart, but who isn't above doing some dumb stuff and acting rashly from time to time, especially when it comes to her younger sister Powder, who is a borderline lead as well and whose place in the story is fucking insane, and I'll leave it at that. The other protagonist being Jace, a young scientist who gains himself some leverage and has to navigate the waters of politics in order to further his agenda, but is forced to take hard decisions along the way. The supporting cast is also stellar. From the aforementioned Silco and Caitlyn, we also have characters like Vander, Victor, Echo, Mel, Heimerdinger, all who have their own arcs and purposes inside the story, and are so much more than their initial appearances suggest. And you know what the best thing is? Is that regardless of character development, they're all insanely charismatic and watchable, each in their own ways. It's compelling to see them grow and react as the story takes wild swings and forces them to confront the world they live in and all its nuances. I also have to give a big shout out to the dub, because these guys managed to hit that perfect sweet spot of casting choices. I've always had a beef with animation that just fills the cast to the brim with famous names and expects them to run the gears with sheer talent, all while voice actors, the people that work on this medium for a living, get thrown aside. At the same time, I'm not against casting famous people with voice roles. It's a part of the industry, and there are some actors that truly excel in animation. At the end of the day, it's all about the performances. And the guys at Riot and Fortiche understood that perfectly. Haley Steinfeld voices Vi. She's an amazing actress, but guess what? She's also really good at voice acting as well, and she nails the character. Ella Purnell, Harry Lloyd, both actors on the rise who've been doing great TV work, and they also killed in their roles here. On the other side, you have Jason Spizak, Mick Winger, JB Blank, all guys who do mostly voice acting for a living, and they're all voicing big characters on the show, and they are all doing an amazing job. Because once again, it's all about the performance. And I fucking love it. There's honestly not a single weak link in this entire cast. Yeah, it's one of the best shows of the year for me. The dialogue is great, the characters are awesome, the plot is amazing. I'd also like to give a shout out to the score, which is way better than it had any right to be. superior even to many TV shows this year. And trust me when I say, this season has left me wanting more. So much more.
Now listen, with all that said, if you're still on the fence about watching this show, this anime, the best thing I can tell you is give it a shot. Watch 3 episodes and see how you feel about it. Because I truly believe this is one of a kind, lightning in a bottle type of stuff that, as I said before, we get every 5 to 10 years. I'm really looking forward to season 2, which thankfully has already been greenlit, and I hope you get to see it and join me on the anticipation as well. This is a Pretentious Writer. See you next time.